Our principal tried to track our every move, so I decided to make 400 students invisible at the same time. Senior year, our principal turned the school into a high-security prison. He installed these new smart lockers that tracked every time you opened them, and even how long you stood there. It was creepy, and honestly, it felt like a total violation. But I found a glitch. The lockers used a cheap infrared sensor, and if you hit it with a specific frequency from a universal remote, it reset the entire database to 0. I didn't just open my locker, I started an underground movement called the Blackout. I spent my entire summer savings, $350, on these tiny keychain-sized infrared blasters. On a random Tuesday, at exactly 10:15 a.m., I sent out a mass text. Go dark. Every single student, all 400 of us, hit those buttons at the same time. The school's main server literally melted. Every locker door in the building swung open at once, and the principal's office started blaring an alarm that wouldn't stop. The best part? While the IT guys were panicking, we all walked out the front doors in perfect silence. No one was caught, because the tracking system thought the school was completely empty. The principal tried to check the cameras, but I'd already bribed the janitor with a box of expensive cigars to accidentally trip the breaker. We didn't just break the rules, we erased them.
10 years. That is how long it took for Sarah to realize she made a mistake. We were high school sweethearts in a small town in Ohio. You know the vibe. Prom royalty, college plans, the whole 9 yards. Then she moves to Chicago, and suddenly, I'm ghosted. No call, no text. Just a Dear John letter handed to me by her cousin. She told me to move on. So, eventually, I did. I met Maya. She's incredible. We've been married for 6 years, and we have a 3-year-old who has my eyes and her attitude. I've never been happier. Then, out of the blue, Sarah calls. We meet at a diner, and she starts reminiscing like she didn't leave me bleeding on the sidewalk a decade ago. Then, she sees the gold band on my finger. Her face turned pale. She actually had the nerve to scream, "You promised you'd wait forever. How could you replace me?" I just stared at her. I waited for an explanation that never came. I didn't replace her. I outgrew her. I put $20 on the table, walked out, and drove home to the woman who actually stayed.
I was standing at the altar looking at Leo, thinking life was perfect. Then his mother, Brenda, stood up. She didn't offer a toast. She offered a warning. She pulled out her phone, hooked it to the venue's projector, and played a clip of me at a casino in Vegas throwing back drinks with some mystery guy. The room went dead silent. Leo looked at me like he didn't even recognize me. Brenda was smirking, saying, "My son deserves a wife with actual values." I was shaking, but then I looked at the date on the footage, July 14th. I grabbed the mic and said, "Brenda, that's funny, because on July 14th, I was in a hospital bed donating a kidney to your brother." The entire room gasped. I pulled up my medical records on the big screen. The mystery guy in her video? It was a digital deepfake. She'd spent $3,000 to frame me. All because she didn't think a small-town girl was good enough for her precious Leo. Leo didn't say a word to her. He just signaled security to escort her out. We finished the ceremony, but Brenda, she's never even seen a photo of our daughter. Some bridges aren't just burnt, they're vaporized.
When I was 6, I thought my big brother, Leo, was a superhero. Because every Friday night, he'd wake me up for what he called the midnight buffet. We'd sit in the dark, huddled under a fort made of old quilts, sharing a single loaf of white bread and a jar of peanut butter. I remember laughing, thinking we were so sneaky, eating like kings while the rest of the house was silent. Leo would always say, "Eat up, kiddo. It's a special treat just for us." Last Thanksgiving, I brought it up. I said, "Hey Leo, remember those Friday night picnics? Why'd we stop doing that?" The room went dead quiet. Leo didn't smile. He just stared at his plate. He told me that those weren't treats. Our parents had spent the grocery money on other things. Leo, at 10 years old, would wait until they passed out, then walk 3 miles in the freezing rain to the local food bank's drop box, hoping someone had left something behind. He wasn't being a superhero, he was just a kid, terrified that his little sister would go to bed hungry. I thought it was a game, but for him, it was a battle for survival.
What innocent memory from your childhood do you now realize was traumatic? I remember when I was really little, my sister and I used to sit in our room and wait for our older brother to bring us food. This was our favorite part of the day because he'd sneak in late at night with candy, cheese, and bread for us. Sometimes he didn't come back until it was really late, so we'd all sit on the floor and eat really quietly to not wake our parents up. I thought it was just for fun, and so we could eat candy, but I just found out what was really going on. I'm now 15 and we're all adopted. Earlier I told my brother how fun it used to be when we'd eat snacks late at night while nobody knew, but he looked really confused. Apparently it wasn't fun for him at all, and he only did it because he had to. Turns out, while I thought they were from our pantry, he was actually sneaking out while our parents didn't know, and stealing food from a grocery store so we wouldn't starve. He was 7 and knew we weren't being fed, so he had to steal food almost every night until he got caught. The night he did, the store owner actually started crying because he knew who our parents were, and he didn't even know they had kids. He was horrified to find out there were 3 of us living in that house and started giving him food to take home. That man probably saved our lives.
Everyone knew Tyler. He wasn't just a class clown. He was a professional attention seeker. One time, he literally wore a full gorilla suit to the homecoming dance just to see if the principal would actually kick him out. But junior year, things got weird. We were in chemistry, and our teacher, Mr. Henderson, had just stepped out to grab more beakers. The second the door clicked shut, Tyler's eyes lit up. He grabs a beaker of this bright, neon purple mystery solution and looks at us. $10 says I can chug this and turn into the Hulk. He joked. We all laughed, thinking he was just being Tyler, but then he actually unscrewed the cap. Everyone started yelling, "Dude, don't." And Tyler, "Stop." But it was too late. He downed the whole thing in 3 seconds flat. For a moment, it was dead silent. Then his face turned this sickly shade of gray. He whispered, "Guys, I don't feel so hot." And his eyes just rolled back in his head. He hit the linoleum floor with a thud that shook the desks. Henderson walks back in, sees Tyler sprawled out with purple stains on his lips. And honestly, I've never seen a grown man go that pale. The girls in the front row started sobbing. We all thought we just watched a kid die for a dare. The sirens were screaming outside within 5 minutes. Turns out it was just a concentrated food coloring and sugar base. But the panic he caused, that was real. He got expelled, and honestly, the school has never been that quiet since.
Back in senior year, my AP English teacher, Mrs. Sterling, was convinced I was going to be a total failure. She'd actually tell me to my face that I'd be lucky to land a job flipping burgers. She even tried to flunk me on my final paper, claiming I plagiarized it because it was too good for someone like me. I had to take it all the way to the school board just to graduate. She hated me for that and told me I'd never amount to anything. Well, flash forward 15 years. I'm now the CEO of a tech firm in Austin, and we just moved into a massive custom-built home. I hired a high-end cleaning crew to prep the place before the housewarming party. I'm walking through the kitchen, and there she is, Mrs. Sterling, standing there in a uniform, scrubbing my baseboards. The silence was deafening. She looked up, recognized me instantly, and her face went completely pale. She started stuttering, apologizing for the misunderstandings from back then. Apparently, she'd lost her teaching license after a few more incidents with students. I didn't fire her. In fact, I gave her a massive tip, because honestly, seeing her realize that the failure she doubted was now her boss was the best karma I could ever buy.
Who's the dumbest criminal you've ever seen? I begged my parents to get a dog almost every year I was in school, but they never let me. So the second I bought my own house, I adopted a pit bull to keep my kids safe. I remember being so excited and thought it would be so fun and easy. A month later, I was basically ready to give the dog up for adoption because she had completely destroyed 2 couches and a chair. One morning, I had to go check the mail and figured it would be fine if I left my kids alone with the dog for a few minutes. She was in the crate, so I wasn't worried about anything breaking. When I came back, the front door was wide open. I could feel my heart start to race. Then, my dog came running outside, and I knew something was horribly wrong. I didn't even look around and just went straight to my kids. They were locked in their room from the outside, and I didn't even want to know who did this. I just went straight outside and called the police, saying someone broke into my house. They took forever to come, and when they searched the house, they told me it was a break-in. Whoever did it didn't know my kids were home, so they must have panicked and locked them in the room they were in. They grabbed almost everything they could, and I would have been thousands of dollars in debt. But thankfully, my 10-month-old dog somehow broke out of her cage and chased this guy back out the window he broke. They actually caught the idiot that same day because he showed up to the emergency room completely covered in bite marks. We decided on keeping Wee Wee after that.